Hey everyone, this is Alan over at Cobblers Plus. Today we'll be working on a pair of these Lucchese. Today we're going to be resoling them with a JR sole, upgrading it to, of course, a premium grade leather, and treating the uppers as well. And this gentleman also needs them stretched out too, but before we could even put them on the stretchers, we definitely have to make sure the uppers are well taken care of and treated. But these have been half soled in the past, it looks like, and rehealed, but you know, on a pair of boots like this, you'd really want to get something a little more upgraded, like the JR Leather Sole. The JR stands for John Rendenbach, comes out of Germany, and it's oak bark tanned, so meaning that they don't use any form of animal fat. So because of that, this sole's fiber structure and pore structure is very dense, so it doesn't take on moisture very easily or salt, making it, you know, possibly degrade like you do with most of your other leather soles out there. And the other thing is also it's a lot denser than most other leather soles, so this set of soles here will probably last as long as, you know, a pair of Vibram rubber soles pretty much, but you get it in a leather sole. It does of course come at a little bit more of a premium cost, but you definitely get your money's worth if it's a nice pair of boots like these here. So it's nothing too crazy. I'll probably do most of this off camera, so I'm not wasting anyone's time too much. I'm going to start out by removing the heel cap and then the heel base, and then cutting through the stitches right here where the welt area is, and removing the sole, taking out all the pegs and everything. Now these do have what are called lemon pegs. They're little wood pegs that go in there, and most of you who wear Western boots are probably fairly familiar with it. Now we usually don't put those back in, mainly because it is wood. It degrades very easily, and you know, if you request it, we could definitely put them in for you. We do stock them, but what we'll actually be putting in afterwards is these brass clinch nails. And the brass ones, they don't corrode, and then they don't fall apart as easily as the wood ones will, and they definitely hold that section a little bit better right here where the arch area is. But we'll get down to that a little bit further once it's time to start putting them in, and I'll talk some more about it later. For now, I'll start taking everything apart and show you what it looks like underneath once it's all off, and we'll move on then. So we'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so we've got the heel bases and the soles off. This kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like on the bottom here. Pretty dirty looking, right? We've got to clean up some of that old glue. Now unfortunately, it looks like someone else also did a full sole in the past on them, and they didn't put back what's called a wren. It's a little plastic piece that keeps kind of the shape of that heel area there, and unfortunately they didn't put it back on. I'll show you real quick on this pair right there. You can see it's got that plastic piece like that. Now almost all Western boots have that usually, unless they're a custom made one. Sorry, I had to put those boots back. But unless they're a custom made one or something else, you know, all boots, especially Lucchese's, they have that little plastic wren. Now unfortunately those are not replaceable. I mean, unless we were able to get them directly from the factory, and Lucchese unfortunately is a little iffy about that stuff. They do their own repairs and are very sensitive about anyone else getting a hold of their product. I'd really love to get some original Lucchese parts and stuff, but they ain't gonna give it up that easily. But anyways, so we've got the sole off. You know, the wren, again, it's not really gonna do too much. You know, we're just gonna have to follow the guide as best we can, and you know, make our own shape to the heel back here. And of course, luckily we've got these heel bases to at least help us a little bit once we get those on as well. But at this point, I'll go ahead and sand everything out, and then pull out all the old stitches everywhere around. Once I get the old stitches out, that'll give me a better idea of if there's any damage to the welt that may need to be fixed up beforehand, and then we'll just start gluing everything together. So I'll see you back here in just a little while. All right, I didn't quite sand these out beforehand yet, but I did forget to mention also that at this point actually I need to apply some conditioner. I'm using some Big 5 actually. This one's a bit more of a leather care. It doesn't really do too much towards the cleaning like say Big 4 does, but that's mainly what we're after, is try to restore some of the nutrients back on the leather. Now when we're going to be fully treating the uppers on these, it's going to be a different product. We're going to be using Saphir's Reptin cream, but for now at least I'm going to be spraying this on and sticking some boot trees in there to kind of help even it out. As you could tell, you know, I've got this one already sprayed up and I've got the boot trees in there. Right there, you can see that one looks quite a bit nicer. It's not so curved badly, where this one unfortunately, I mean, it needs it really desperately. So just gonna spray that area down just a little bit. Oh, maybe a little more than just a little bit, making that leather, well, the skin actually, it's not actually considered a full leather, at least I don't believe it is, but it makes it a lot more supple. And while I'm sanding through on these and gluing everything up, as well as a few other things I'm working on today, this will allow these to kind of get some of their shape back, as well as, you know, allow that conditioner to soak in nicely. And looks like this one's already done soaking it in, so might as well put on another coat real quick. So what happens when you don't take care of your exotic leathers, especially? These kinds of things can happen. It could be much worse. This gentleman actually had a pair of Cayman, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he had a pair of Cayman in as well, and unfortunately those were so damaged. I mean, the scales were falling apart. They were just, there was nothing that could be done about it, unfortunately, other than just stitching it up, and it would look horrible. I mean, you know, those, I told him he may have to give up on those. You know, they were just mistreated horribly. But these ones, luckily, they weren't in as nearly as bad of shape, but still needed a little bit of love on them. So I'll go ahead and get these going then, so we'll see you back in just a little bit. Alright, so we're back here again. I ended up putting a couple of coats of glue on, and as well as the soles. I did also put some black dye around the edges here. Now this is in order to prevent it from, you know, being kind of an eyesore, showing that lighter color on the bottom. These soles have a black edge dressing, so we're going to try to keep that uniform. So I put some alcohol-based dye on there and then glued it all up, so it'll look a little bit nicer once we start getting closer to the finished product. And well, of course, it doesn't look all even and everything, but it gets the majority of everything, and there's just that little center piece there that doesn't really need the acrylic dye on there. But anyways, let's see, trying to make sure get that JR logo centered as possible. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and stick this on the press and let it sit there for a little while, and the press will help the adhesives bind better and also allow the sole to shape a lot better. I won't waste your time with that, but I'll go ahead and get that taken care of, and I'll be right back. Oh, I decided to waste your guys' time just a little bit and show you the press. But anyways, at the moment the press is pressing down on the heel area right now, so I'll go ahead and take that off. I'm going to switch it on over. We have different attachments like this, so this is the one for the heel right there, and then this is for the foot area, and we're gonna go ahead and press out from the heel to about the ball of the foot area. Get that all on there. Okay, all right, we're gonna let that sit there for a little while, and then we'll switch it over so it does the ball of the foot to the toe area. But at this point, I'd like to kind of apologize. I did mix up the upper on this on what I said it was. It's not that fish leather that I assumed it was for a second. I was having a really off day yesterday. But yes, I did have to leave these behind, and then I start finishing out the gluing process this morning. But a fellow cobbler by the name of Zane from Snailsville, I hope I'm saying that right, Georgia, Snellsville, I'm sorry, Zane, I can't pronounce your guys' city name, but they're out in Georgia, and they have a shoe repair shop out there, and he's really good with identifying exotics, and he caught my mistake when I posted a few pictures online in a couple of groups. I was actually on a group that I started called Exotic Leather Enthusiasts, so if you'd like to check that out, by the way. But anyways, he caught that and corrected me, but this is Anteater Upper. So it comes from an anteater. It looks scaly, a lot like a lot of the fish type and other forms of exotics that you may assume. It may be something along those lines, but this is actually anteater, and I really messed up on that one. But hey, it happens to the best of us all the time. But anyways, we're still going to be treating it the same way, because it is an exotic. You know, we still got to use the same methods and everything to treat it. As I mentioned, I sprayed it down with the Big 5 to soften everything up. This morning it really soaked everything in. That's another reason why I left it overnight, to allow that conditioner to soak in nicely. And I had to take the last out during the process of getting the sole glued up and everything. But it's definitely a lot softer and more forgiving now. But once I've got the sole on, I'm going to trim out the edges and everything. Of course, I will spray it down some more. I'll probably leave these to absorb some more overnight. So, you know, after I trim out the edges on our 5-in-1, I'll actually leave these until tomorrow. But I'll put the boot lasts back, or not the boot lasts, the boot trees back in there, and spray them down one more time and let them sit and absorb all that moisture overnight. And then tomorrow I'll actually trim out the edges and, you know, continue the process. So we'll see you guys tomorrow then. Alright, so we're back here again. I went ahead and trimmed out the edges all around here and sanded out where the heel base is going to reattach. Did that off camera, so I'm not wasting your time too much more already. But go ahead and stitch these up. We're in our patch room. This is our outsole stitcher. We call it the curved needle stitcher because it's got a curved needle like this on here. And we're going to go ahead and do the stitch on the sole. Now, of course, this one stops right about here. I have a few little marks right there and right there. Now, they are definitely off. They're not aligned perfectly or anything. And that's one of those things that I can't do much about it unless I'm replacing the welt. So I'm just following whatever the original factory did, and that's what they had. And I don't want to do any more holes, extra holes or stitching than is needed, because it can potentially weaken the material in the long run. So we don't want that happening. But I'm going to go ahead and spray it down with a little bit of water just to help lubricate it a little bit and just at least slightly soften the leather. Now, of course, this leather doesn't take on much water, so, you know, kind of have to do this quick while it's still damp. But I'll go ahead and get started. Alright, looks like we made it in the same holes. Okay, looks pretty good there on the bottom. Make sure to tighten this guy up. I'll go ahead and finish tightening it in that other room. But here what we have, it's called a closed channel stitch. So on our machine we have a blade here that cuts into it, and at the same time as well as stitching, and this helps protect those stitches a little bit longer and better than, say, an open channel where we groove out a channeling first and then stitch it afterwards. There's another method called blind stitch where we splice the leather, fold it over, stitch it, and then glue that fold back over, and it looks like it was never stitched, but it was in reality. But anyways, you can definitely see that it's off at an angle, you know, but that's how it was originally, and we're gonna go ahead and follow what they had originally on here. Now, if I was changing out the welt, if at all possible, once we have it apart, I'd have to be able to see again. I completely forgot to check that out, but I'd probably get this section further back, most likely. But again, that's not always the case, depending on how they stretch this upper over the last and how they originally did it on the inside, and I forgot to check that out beforehand, so I wouldn't be able to let you know 100%. But so far so good. Now we're gonna go in the other room and go ahead and you know, press all this down right here from the channel stitching. And it's a little bit actually harder, I've noticed, because some cobblers, they actually don't have a blade on their machine because they have problems with aligning everything at once. Because while you're stitching, and I'll show you real quick, so we've got the blade up here that starts the channel, and then when you're stitching, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a, oh, let me see if I can get a little bit closer to you for you guys. But anyways, there it all is. You can see that piece coming up. That's an awl right there. It punches the hole, and right after it on the top comes down the needle. So that's how it works, and you got to align basically all three of them all at one time, and it makes it a little bit challenging and takes quite a bit of practice. But I've been doing this long enough. I think I got the hang of it, but either way, I'm human. I can make a mistake every now and then. At least it's something I can correct. But anyways, I'll go ahead and finish out the other boot off camera, and see you in the other room. All right, so we're back in the other room. Got everything pressed down so you can still see a little bit of that stitch in there, but it's a little more pressed and protected. But at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and take some of these brass clinch nails, are what they're called. They're a little long, but they're designed to go into the sole here, and the steel last, kind of like one of these here underneath. Once this nail hits it, it curves and turns into basically a hook on the inside as well. And this will help keep the back end of this sole area and in the arch area down and shaped a little bit better too, because this one's only got a stitch from behind the ball of the foot right here all the way around to the toe here. And so the rest of this boot is actually nailed down using these clinch nails. And of course, once we get the heel base on, we'll also have the gripper nails coming in underneath there. I'll hold down the sole as well. So on the back here, we just do a few at a time. And it's a total of 7 nails that we'll have. And this is a total of 7 that are underneath this heel base area that's being glued down. That's why I also mark it beforehand, so I know where to start and where to finish on just the single rows like that. Voila. Alright, now we're going to do the arch area, but for this, you know, I could just use the nails straight away, but because they're a little bit softer and they're designed to bend and turn and everything, it makes it a little challenging, because if I hit it wrong with the hammer, it tends to turn and accidentally damage, well, not damage, but at least damage the look of the bottom of the sole, and we don't want that. So I'm going to go through with my awl here and just pre-punch some holes beforehand. This makes it a lot easier, a lot nicer looking as well, instead of risking and making it look kind of ugly, I guess you can say. Right. And as far as like the stitch area, try to overlap. Here, let me take this off. But just like that, try to overlap just 1 row of stitches basically right there. So that's kind of what it looks like. There. Now, put the nails in. They go in nicely. Voila. Looks a lot better. I'll just finish up this side at least for you to see what it looks like. Alright. There we go. So you could definitely see the nails look a little bit nicer there now. They're not all bent and everything inside there. And you can see a little bit of that curve starting to form around that shank that's underneath here. And that really gives it a nice kind of look also. But you know, the press can only do so much with that, but once we start to finally nail everything, the nails really kind of force the leather to wrap around a little bit better and nicely. But I'll go ahead and finish up both these off camera, and then I'll start gluing everything up. I won't waste your time too much with that, but you'll be seeing it after it's all nailed down anyways. So for now, I'll let you go, and we'll see you a little bit later. All right, so I've got the heels on there and everything, the heel base. Ran the nails in, and of course the top lift, I did a rough sand on it right now, and at this point I'm gonna go ahead and sand it out on our smoother sandpaper belt to make sure everything's evened out here nicely. So we'll go ahead and get started on that now. Alright, so I've got everything nicely smoothened out with that sandpaper there. You saw me get the inside here a little bit with what's called a brister cone down here hidden behind the machine. It's a cone-shaped sander, kind of touches up that inside just a little bit better. And then I forgot to mention, this is also what's called a numkig. Gives us kind of a touch-up that we can do on there. But anyways, at this point we're done with that. We're gonna go ahead and put on a varnish or edge dressing up basically on it, edge ink, to touch up the color on it. Well, not touch up, to restore that black edging on it. And then afterwards we're going to varnish it to make it nice and smooth and shiny. And then we're going to go ahead and treat the uppers on these. And well, actually we're going to treat the bottom first and then the uppers. We got to stain these because we're not leaving these ones that neutral color. We're going to actually change it because it was a darker color before anyways. We'll get that taken care of now, so we'll see you back in just a little while. Alright, so we've got the edge dressing on there already. We're going to go ahead and varnish it now. We're going to use Yankee wax. It's a harder wax that's designed to go on the edging like that. We have our varnish wheel here. This is a leather one. It's got stacked leather pieces on there. Melts the wax using friction and then basically just forces it into the pore structure of the leather all around. And then afterwards we're going to touch it up with a nylon brush right here on this end, and then finish it off with this horsehair brush to buff it up nicely and smoothen out that wax a little more and give it that shine. So we'll go ahead and get started now. Alright, well, looks a little nicer, doesn't it? Nice and smooth, waxed up and everything. Or that one there still needs a little work. Try to show off that heel a little bit. Bit of a difference there. Sorry, it's hard for me to center it because I got the machine here in the way and the way the camera's set up and everything. But anyways, I'll go ahead and finish out this other one here, and next I'm gonna go ahead and sand out the bottoms here so that I can start working on applying a finish. So I won't bother you with the sanding process on it. I've done a few videos with the whole sanding and everything on it, but I'll go ahead and sand that out and then start getting ready to treat the bottom to give it a little bit of coloring. I've got a few ideas, but we'll wait until I get to that part and you'll see what's going on. All right, so we'll see you back in just a little while then. All right, so we've got everything sanded out nicely. Now I'm gonna be using some Saphir Seraphim cream because it's got quite a bit of dye pigment to it, and we're not actually going to use a dye today, not on these ones at least. But because this has a good dye pigment in it and it's also got some turpentine in there, it'll help penetrate at least somewhat into this really tough JR sole. But I was going to do a little bit of red just right here in the center and just about like right to there. Be plenty good. Alright, now I gotta do this fast because there is beeswax in here, so as soon as that turpentine starts to evaporate, it all wants to go quick. And look at that. It's already drying. I gotta go quicker than that. Do some black. Stuff works way too quick, but not too bad. That's what I was after. That looks pretty cool. I like that. Especially with that gold in there and everything. What do you guys think? Especially with that upper the way it is, it's kind of like a burgundy color, but give just a little bit of red there on the bottom. Hopefully this guy's all right with me being a little creative. It's not something that will last long anyways. I mean, it is on the bottom of the sole, so you know, and because it can't penetrate deeply into the leather, it just kind of goes into that first top layer there. Wipe off some of that excess off of that one. Set it aside. Now this one, there's a problem a little bit with the JR soles that have that gold label there. Not all of them have the gold on there. It's just decorative. There's nothing really different about it. But that gold inlay doesn't sit so deep, so unfortunately most of us cobblers, we accidentally nick it every now and then, and this one right here, I did nick it just a little bit. Now I'm not using that numb keg. I'm not using anything that spins really fast or anything like that. I got a little black on there. Dang it, came off my hands. But I'm gonna show you here real quick. I was using a palm sander like that and just managed to catch it just a tiny bit, and it went fast. I was like, dang it. I was trying so hard to make it look nice. But it happens. I mean, again, it's just aesthetics. There's nothing that it has to do with, you know, the way it affects the quality build of the shoe or the sole, I mean, or anything like that. It's strictly just decorative, basically. Okay, do this fast. Don't even have time to close off the lid. And of course, we're going to be treating the upper on these as well. So I'm going to go ahead and buff up this sole here in just a few minutes. I'm going to allow that turpentine to evaporate just a little bit more. Once it's evaporated, basically we have the pigment and the wax left, and that allows us to buff it out so it gives it a little bit of a shine. Nothing too crazy, just a little shimmer. Alright, not bad, huh? Again, you can see that nick right there. There's no gold. Bugs the hell out of me. Love to have things perfect, but unfortunately nothing's ever perfect. But at the same time, imperfection is what shows beauty. You know, it's like an artist, basically. Artists, the art that they create, it's not picture perfect. It never is. But those tiny little flaws, the detail, the show that this was done by hand, that's what really sets it apart, that it's, you know, a piece of art. And I guess that's the only way I could comfort myself, that it's not perfect. But anyways, you know, because I didn't use any dyes or anything like that, and it was just creams, it still shows a little bit of, you know, that it's leather underneath. You know, it's got a little bit of this leather hue underneath that doesn't look like the camera's catching it all that well. Maybe just a little bit right there, or in some spots, but it has like this hue to it that shows that it is leather and everything, but it's still a dark enough sole on the edges here and gives it a little bit of color there. But I'll go ahead and buff that up. I will take care of the uppers so that this video doesn't go crazy long. I'm actually going to do a separate video on how to treat Anteater. So if you'd like to check that out, I'll link it in the description, unless you know, this video comes up first. Well, you get the point. I'll try to link it in the description as best I can, just because I have to kind of go back and forth between the two videos. But after I'm done treating the upper and doing all that, you know, I'll wrap this video up with you guys and let you see the finished product on that. So we'll see you back in just a little while. All right, everyone, I'm back after making that other video about the upper treatment on these. So if you want to check that out, I'll probably have the link in the description for you, where we treat the whole upper on there and you know, condition and shine them. They look a lot better, don't you think? Of course, I already conditioned them a few times before, you know, repairing and everything and stretching out process, but you know, final steps, you definitely have to do a better treatment, definitely. And in that video there'll be more description on how to treat Anteater, basically. So if you got a pair of Anteater boots or plan to get some, you know, I highly recommend checking that out, just to give you an idea of what to prepare yourself for, either if you're going to maintain them yourself, or, you know, if you just want to see the whole process of, you know, what it looks like to treat that. But anyways, you know, I hope you've enjoyed the video on getting these all resoled and everything. I like that red there. Doesn't look too bad at all, definitely, especially because it's still, I used the black on there and it still shows a good amount of leather to it, you know, that it is leather. So it's, I don't know if you can see just a little bit of brown there and there. So it's got that kind of distressed almost look to it, not a solid color or anything like that. I do like it personally. I wonder if maybe you can see it there. I guess not. But anyways, oh, and also I did replace the little heel liner pads. These guys, I've got new ones in there. You probably can't quite see it, but there are new ones in there because these were just shot completely. I mean, they're kind of grody, but that's usually included with having them resoled anyways. If you end up getting a pair fully resoled through us, if those little heel pads are damaged, we'll replace them for you. They're nothing too serious. But you know, if you request them, you know, if you come in and request us to replace them completely without having any kind of resoling, unfortunately that does cost a little extra. Maybe as an add-on for something small, it does cost a little extra, but with a full resole, you know, it's our treat basically. And hopefully you're happy with that. But anyways, you know, that's the whole process that it usually goes into it. There's a lot more different things that can be done, like welt replacement, you know, stitch work and other things like that. There's a lot that can go wrong with a pair of shoes or boots, and there's a lot that can be fixed on there as well. And you know, all I can say is the best thing is for us to take a look at it. It's hard for us to understand when you're trying to explain it over the phone or even in message. So if you're local here in the Denver area, if you have any questions, you know, feel free to stop by. If you're not local, you know, just send us pictures. As you know, a few extra pictures never hurt to send to us, and we'll be able to look over it and identify it at least as best as we can without seeing it in person, and it's a little more accurately than you just trying to describe it to us. You know, and definitely feel free to comment any questions down below, or just let us know if you've been enjoying the videos. Also, I definitely appreciate anyone that's watching. You know, it's a starting channel. I'm still working on growing it, of course, and I'm not a professional videographer. I'm not you know, a professional recorder of any kind. You know, I'm a cobbler by trade. I do this full-time. I do these videos for you guys. I've been enjoying it. It does take definitely more time for me to do the repairs because of the recording process. So I just hope you've been enjoying that, the videos that I've been posting up, how the process goes with resoling boots, shoes, and other types of repairs, and even product recommendations, testings, and all that kind of stuff. Some of those may be helping some of you out quite a bit as well. But otherwise, also, if you're wanting us to work on your shoes or boots or other leather goods, if you're not local, you can also ship them into us. Just go to our website, CobblersPlusCO, and at under the ship and order tab, just select that and follow the instructions for shipping out a pair of shoes or whatever other repairs you may have. Fill out the PDF file on there that you print out, put it in a box, ship it out, and a day or two after we receive them, we'll give you a call. Sorry, we can't call the same day because we have to organize it in between other things that we have to call about as well. Sometimes we get a lot of shipments in, sometimes it's some of the companies that we work with that send stuff over to us, so we have to kind of organize it and do it all in order. But within a day or two, we'll be giving you a call either way to talk over the repair process, anything that we recommend, or any options as well that you may have for whatever needs you may have. And after we finish them out, we put them back in a box for you and ship them back over, and hopefully you're happy with receiving your items back refurbished and repaired and better than they were before. And again, also please subscribe to the channel. Again, it's still a growing channel. We definitely appreciate everyone that has joined us so far, and thank you very much. You know, I'll definitely be releasing more and more videos as time goes by. As well, please hit that notification bell so that when a new video pops up, we try to post them maybe once every week. I've been trying to stick to that kind of schedule. Can't quite figure out which days I'm posting yet, because the upload process takes quite a while on these hour-long videos, especially because these are 4K videos I'm recording on a GoPro, so it definitely takes a lot more to upload them. I can upload a video for a full 12 hours actually, sometimes having to have my computer just run and upload it to YouTube. So, you know, just you know, bear with me. I can't figure out a perfect day where I can post them for you guys. Hopefully I get that figured out soon. But anyways, we'll just see you next time then. All right.